Hi there, my name is Marty Owings, and today's video is a little bit different. I usually review art supplies or do a little bit of art instruction, but this one's different. This box of contents here, these dip pens, these fountain pens, were passed down to me. A few years ago, when my dad passed away, these were gifted to me and passed down for me, but these belong to my stepmother, Janie. She was a prolific journaler and a collage artist and just a great all-around artist, fantastic. She had a beautiful studio for years and years and would travel around and she created a lot of beautiful art. Well, this was her box and it was passed down to me, and so I was hesitant to go through it. It was too painful at the time. But now I think enough years have passed, and another thing is that Janie wouldn't want this box to sit and gather dust. So today I'm going to go through the contents. I won't talk a lot. I don't think it's necessary, but a little bit here and there to kind of explain things. But this was her box, and so I wanted to respect her memory and honor that by not letting this sit and gather dust. Well, there's lots of dip pens and nibs. There's, this whole clear case is full of nibs and some different dip pen or nib holders. And I'm familiar with dip pens and have used them in the past, as well as fountain pens. I love writing and penmanship. And when I went to school for engineering, I took drafting and things like that. And so it's another reason I wanted to explore this box. I also put some music in here that my dad wrote and performed, and this is one of his songs coming up here. A lot of the music my dad wrote was in particular for Janie. He loved her very much, and he performed in the restaurant where she worked. My dad was, as well as being an artist, he was also a pretty talented musician in Chicago, played with a lot of great uh, Chicago musicians, B.B. King, others. He had a chance to sit in and play with. Going all the way back to the 60s, he had a few bands. He was really talented at piano and guitar. He could play a multitude of instruments. But anyway, and probably for the last few decades of his life, he really embraced computers to help him make music. And so that was one of his passions, and he loved to write songs and make music, original music. Little struggle with this Lamy pen right here. I don't know, I think this is a Lamy Safari, but I changed the ink cartridge and for the longest time just couldn't get any ink to flow through it. And I cleaned it like 2 or 3 times, was very careful about that. And we'll come back to that Lamy pen a little bit later. But for now, I'll try maybe a different pen. This is some really good ink right here. I love this ink. This is a maple ink, and this is a really good, it's called Dominant Industry. It's made in South Korea, and it's got a nice color to it, and comes in this classy jar, but it's a really good, it's kind of a wetter ink, and it's nice. I enjoyed it, and we'll do some writing with it. So this is another song by my dad. He composed it and wrote it. It's called Chill in the Air, and hope you enjoy it. refill this pen. Let's see how it goes. Oh, there we go. Get a little railroading or whatever they call that. Okay, yeah, this is a Noodler's fountain pen, which is really nice. I think it's just a regular Noodler's pen. This one I'm going to try now with the blue ink. This is a J. Herbin blue ink, which is really nice. Yeah, it's a really nice ink. I like the flow of this ink. It's made in France. It's just a beautiful ink. So they make a variety of these, but inside of this Ahab, it's really nice. It's I'm really looking for a nib that's broad and lets me flex quite a bit, because I like to get the wider and thinner strokes on the lettering. And so I've kind of been searching for that type of pen, and I think this Ahab pen will do just fine for now. But maybe I can look for another pen. I've heard from folks that the Falcon is a nice pen, but I don't have Falcon money, so I might have to settle for something else. I might try Fountain Pen Revolution, which I hear is also good. They've got an Ultra Flex nib, but this works just fine. It's a little scratchy, but from everything I've looked up, and maybe you know a lot more about this than I do if you're a fountain pen user, but a lot of people are saying that, like, there's a trade-off. If you want the thin lines, you might get it's going to be a little bit more scratchy, but if you want a really good heavy flex nib, maybe the ink flows out too much and you get very heavy lines. But anyway, I wanted to go back to these dip pens and try them out, because this is the majority of what Janie had. And so some of the dip pens I'll try here, they don't hold very much ink. Others do. Oops, I dropped my nib right in that ink. So yeah, luckily I was able to get it out before it sunk completely into all that ink, because that would have been a hassle. That's another reason I'm wearing gloves, because this ink tends to be pretty permanent on you and takes a long time to come off your hands if it soaks in. So yeah, we'll get this nib back on here and get back to work. All right, let's take a look at some of Janie's journals. Like I said before, she was mostly a collage artist, but she was also a fine painter and excellent with drawing and draftsmanship and all that stuff. So that's a painting she did right within this journal, which is really a repurposed album, like like an antique photo album. And what I really admired about Janie's work is that it had such variety and depth. So, and she painted these pages inside this book, but she could range from like the fantastic sort of what am I looking for? Abstract sort of work with collage and different textures. So, like, look at that, for instance, or these pages. And she could range from that to painting things like this. So I always admired her work, and and like I said, she repurposed these books. So she stitched these pages together herself and put it inside of this old album. So it says Dear Diary. It's an art journal, but it's not really a diary. Otherwise, I wouldn't share it here. But it's kind of a visual diary, if you will, but not written word. But here you're going to see some of her work reflected in the pages here. So let's take a look. I mean, those little sheep have such texture. And this is like inside her studio. And she painted this area inside her studio, which I'm very familiar with. And those are all like raised. That little design there on the left is all raised pieces. So I just love this work that she did. She loved to do this type of thing and to paint and to journal about her work. I don't know if that's like a self-portrait or not, but it's another one of Janie's paintings. And here she had already primed the surface for the next piece, but didn't do it. Here's some very whimsical pieces. And that's it for that journal, really. But yeah, and there she's got her name stamped in there. But I just wanted to share a bit of her work with you. And yeah, she was not only a great artist, she was an awesome cook, a really good person, and we loved her very much. Next, I'm going to try to make some Victorian style gentleman's cards or business cards for my friend Bill, who's a partist. And to put it into his words, this is somebody who potters and putzes and piddles away the day, collecting parts and putting parts together to form art. So he'll find old scrap wood or metal pieces, junk that other people have discarded, and he'll put those things together and make art from them. So I thought I'd make him up some cards, and I'll mail these off to him soon. Well, yeah, I like this pen a lot. This is the Noodler's ink pen, and I know they make a variety here. I think this is the Ahab that I'm using, and I filled it with that J. Herbin ink, and it really is nice. It writes really well. I'm not an expert at Spencerian writing or Victorian writing or any of that stuff, but I sure do love it, and I love the way it looks, and I can at least, if not learn how to write better using this method, I can at least mimic it a little bit and add some of my own flair to it. So it's really enjoyable to do this writing and stuff like that. I think I'm going to do more of that. Speaking of more and doing things, it's 2025 now, snuck up on us, and Happy New Year to you and yours, and hopefully you had a great holiday, and looking forward to a fantastic 2025. As far as the channel, I've got some things planned, especially some sketching trips, some field sketching trips this spring and summer. I don't know if I'll be doing those trips solo or with other artists again this year, but either way, I'll be out there. So I'm going to film some of that, put that on the channel. I've got lots of stuff to review. I've got a whole box of stuff that I need to go through, including a really nice gift box that was sent to me by a long-time subscriber. And so I want to go through some of the things that she sent and look at those. And so that's going to be an upcoming video as well. Also, I'll be teaching a class. It's an online class. It starts on the 17th of January. All the details are in the description, or you can go to Wet Paint and look it up. I'll be teaching the class through them. There's a limited number of seats. I think we've got the people we need to run the class now. We could just fill it up if we add a few more people. So that's coming up soon. And yeah, thanks for taking a look at Janie's work with me and going through her box and collection of interesting dip pens and fountain pens and inks. I think that was really fun to do, and it was, I think, something that she would appreciate, knowing that those things were going to get some use. Well, that's it for now. Thanks for stopping by. This has been Marty for owingsart.com.